Welcome back to the studio. I know restaurants can feel very overwhelming, but you're safe here. Let's breathe through this together. We're going to ground ourselves and learn how to handle the anxiety and overstimulation while I paint a nice tree in this soothing earthy pink. My paint is from Brighter Day Pigments, and I'm using a round number 6 brush on a Lamali Paris notebook. There can be many reasons to feel overwhelmed in a restaurant. It might be very noisy and overwhelming. You might feel pressure to decide or order or eat in front of others. These are all really valid, and we're going to talk through them together. First, as you can see, we're creating the outline to a tree on our page. We're giving it a nice strong stalk, a big bushy leafy top, and some roots at the bottom that will keep it safe in the ground. If you're feeling overwhelmed at all during this video, remember you can always return to how the brush is flowing on the paper. Just breathe in and out with the strokes as the pigment gets deposited on the page. Let's talk a little bit about anxiety. Deconstructing it can help us to understand and feel better. Anxiety is our body's natural alarm system. In small doses, it helps us to stay alert, motivated, and cautious, which is great before a test or crossing a busy street or something where you might need to be a little more alert. However, when the alarm system starts to become overactive, it's very uncomfortable and overwhelming. The anxiety transitions from a helpful tool into something that's in the way. What this knowledge tells us is that anxiety isn't something to be angry at, but it is something to keep under control, in a place where it will benefit us. So, let's work out how to keep it under control in a restaurant. Sometimes being around all these people and sounds can make your brain start scanning for safety. Remember, that's not weakness. That's just your nervous system trying to protect you. So, let's say, thank you so much for that, but use the space to take the reins a little bit more. In this restaurant, we are like the strong tree that we're painting. Our roots firmly in the ground, supporting us and protecting us. Strong enough so that we have the ability for our leaves and branches to branch out and grow. Without that stability in our core, expansion wouldn't be possible. To feel this way, we want to ground ourselves, so whatever chaos is happening around us can be outside our protection bubble. Imagine a bubble right outside of your body. It can be as tight or as wide as you'd like. Think of it like a layer of insulation around you. With time, you can either expand or contract it, allowing the bubble to invite more or less, depending on the situation. For example, when you're home, the bubble can be wide because you have the safety and peace of quiet of your space. And when you're somewhere with a lot of people, the bubble might be really tight, only letting you in. No one can come into your bubble if you don't want them to. Even though it's a bubble, the walls are incredibly strong. You are in charge of that boundary. Let's take a moment to think about your favorite store, imagining they're dropping the coolest product ever, and everyone wants it. The store opens at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's very clear. It's on their website, it's across their social media, and it's on a sign on the door. Because people are very excited, they're going to start queuing at 8 a.m., or even earlier in some cases. Let's fast forward to 8:45. The queue is building, the chaos is building, and people really want to get inside the store. However, the employees inside are not opening the door until 9. They're taking these last few moments to make sure everything is in place, clean, and prepped for all the people who are going to come in. Even though the queue is building, there's nothing the people can do to get the doors to open earlier. It will happen when the store is ready at the agreed upon time. Sometimes it can really feel like there's a queue of people outside your personal bubble, just like this analogy. However, what's happening at the brink of your bubble is not your problem. You are in control of your level. Someone might be at the edge, literally right next to you, trying to get in. But if your doors are closed, which they're allowed to be whenever you like, no one can seep within into your space. Emotional space, that is. We can't always control where people are physically. Sometimes you need to think of water slooping over the edge of your bubble, not penetrating inside. In a restaurant, there's going to be a big queue outside your bubble a lot of the time because it's a public space. That's okay. Envision the queue outside your favorite store. If you need a moment, envision your doors closed and locked. Take some breaths and know you can open it when it's time. Let's take a moment to think about where you physically are right now. You're allowed to take up space in your chair. That chair is for you. Feel your feet on the floor. Take one small, quiet breath through your nose and let it out slowly. If your hands are in your lap, notice the warmth of your palms. You're allowed to take up space here. This is your chair. The people who run the restaurant want to have seats in those chairs. That's the whole point. They're grateful when someone sits down in one and is there to experience their restaurant. So know that whatever is happening around you, that space is designated to you. No one else is going to sit there, and it can be your safe area to ground your feet on the floor. Stay calm and build your bubble from there. This is not a musical chairs situation. Everyone has their select area. Once you've chosen your seat, that's yours for the duration of your experience in the restaurant. Think of your chair and your protective emotional bubble, creating the safe space that is where you can be in this restaurant and where you can return at all times. They build the trunk of your tree. Let's now move along to the branches and leaves, which hypothetically is how you interact with the restaurant. The chances the experience is completely perfect is low, but what is perfect? Every little detail is created by humans, and we're humans for a reason. We're not robots. What you can do, though, is be strong enough in your core that you can weather whatever little thing comes to you. Even for someone who's extremely confident, there are going to be little bumps in this experience we call life, and especially in a restaurant, because there are so many factors and things going on. But that doesn't at all mean we can't enjoy the experience. What you can do is treat any of those little bumps like the little waves, bumps, and curves of this painting, moving around them until they become part of the piece. Let's notice how the leaves of this tree have been concentrically filled in based on the outline. We completely based the design on the inside of the tree on what was happening on the outside layer, letting our brush flow with whatever lines were down on the page. As a result, it has created this kind of linear pattern that almost looks like if you sliced a tree trunk in half. All the little lines representing the years of the tree. Each line is a direct response to what was before it. We don't look at them with judgment and say, this one should have been deeper or this one smoother, because how are we to know that? It's purely a reaction or an aura extension of what was down. Had the original line been different, our piece would have responded differently too, and the lines would be altered. But that's not the case. This is the outline we have, and these are the reactions we have to it. This is exactly like your experience in a restaurant. Something may happen, and you move around it just like the next line, taking in any little divot that might come with that experience, and carrying that through your piece. If we get a mark down on the paper that we don't quite like, that's okay. We can go back and edit it. Notice how often I use the very tip of my brush to clean up a line I had down on the paper. If we quote-unquote mess up, we can always go back and edit or course correct. Maybe you said something quote-unquote wrong at this restaurant. Tune your brain in with the very tip of the brush. Hit the situation with a little, oh, what I meant to say was, and keep it moving. It's all good. The lines will continue growing around that interaction, and when we look back at the finished entire piece as a whole, that little bit is really not going to matter. You'll see. As we fill in this nice cloud at the top of our page, let's dive into some of the ways that restaurants can cause anxiety and specifically how to tackle them. Let's begin with noises. There can be a lot of noises in a restaurant, and it can be really overstimulating. I totally get it. Chatter, clinking plates, music. They can also often be high-pitched and unpleasant. Instead of letting each noise compound and stack on top of itself, try and think about the sounds of a jungle. Imagine you're standing, looking into the distance at a beautiful, lush jungle teeming with wildlife and nature. It's very luscious and happy. You're going to gently hear the hum of the birds and the bees. You'll hear the wind wrestling through the trees, and you'll also hear the calls of animals at all different pitches and ranges. Think of how, as you stand back, if you're looking at the rainforest from afar, all these noises come together to be one general hum emanating from the foliage. In our minds, we can then categorize that hum as sound and compartmentalize it. Sound is one element of what's going on, and there are also things we can smell, look at, feel, etc. All of these senses work together to create your experience looking at the jungle. Let's do the same thing in this restaurant and compartmentalize the senses. This breaks them down and makes them easier to manage. So let's weave all these individual noises into the sound category. There's the clinking of plates, the music, maybe even the street outside, and people chatting all over the room. We're going to focus on the trunk of our tree and melt it all together like one big restaurant hum. We're going to put it safely in a cube labeled sound, as opposed to dissecting every little bit. Now that we have our sound cube, we can take out certain ones if we want to pay attention to them more specifically. That could be the music, if you like it, and of course it can be the chatter at your direct table. Or if there's some juicy gossip happening nearby, you could listen to that too. The point is, once the sounds are compartmentalized, you can cherry pick which ones you want to affect you. And if you don't want them, let them disperse back into that general hum. With that in mind, let's move back to our painting for a moment. Look at how the clouds in the background have come together with the branches of the tree, creating this negative space on the right side and also on the bottom, which we're filling out right now. We're going to go ahead and tackle each of these spaces piece by piece, cleaning up any little corners and bits of the line that we want smoother along the way. What was a huge big blank area is now broken up into more manageable pieces, so we can fill them out one by one without having to worry about any other section. This is also how you can treat your experience in the restaurant, doing one thing at a time and only moving on to the next once you feel ready. That could be getting into your seat, settling in at your table, having a conversation, choosing what to order. Think of all of these pieces as their own little moment. You can do them one at a time, and there's absolutely no rush. Sometimes it can feel like you're expected to have it all sorted out at the start. Comfort takes a little bit of time to settle into. You're allowed to find your footing and your place before you go to the menu. You're allowed to take time to scan through the menu, and you're not expected to multitask when you do this. So remind yourself that you can move through each section and on to the next. Now, let's talk about that menu, shall we? There can be plenty of overwhelm in this category. If you have the option, it would be great to look at the menu before you arrive at the restaurant. This way, you can know what you're working with and even hopefully choose something before you come in. If you didn't get a chance to look at the menu, that's totally fine too. Every restaurant always has something at least similar to something you've seen before. Maybe it's a pesto pasta, or maybe it's a grilled chicken. What it can be nice to do is have your favorite dishes known in advance. This way, as you scan the menu, you can always pull from your list, finding comfort in the fact that you know you're going to like something. For example, I like to eat adventurously, but there are a few things that I always will choose if I see it on a menu. Lasagna or bolognese, a fried chicken sandwich, or ceviche. Another thing that's very important to remember that we often forget is you only need to pick one thing. If you're debating through a few options, that's a great problem to have. It must mean there's lots of nice things on the menu. Unless you're particularly hungry, you probably don't have the tummy space to eat all the things you like the look of. So while so many can look good, you just need to choose one of them. If you really can't decide, that's totally fine. Choice can be overwhelming, but here are a few tricks to be able to pick. Very simply, you can always pick the one whose starting letter is closest to the top of the alphabet. That might be chicken Alfredo or a banh mi. If you don't like that, you can also always pick the one that starts with the letter of your first name, or your best friend's first name, or even your pet's first name. Whatever happens, whatever you choose is going to be fine. Hopefully, very good, but at the very least fine. If you want to try everything, you can always come back to this restaurant. And remember, this is just one meal in your whole life. It doesn't have the pressure of being the most insane meal ever. It's just something that you're eating this day. What you can also always do is tell the server what you like, and they can recommend something for you based off what they have available on the menu. It can be as simple as, I like pasta and I do not like spicy. They know the menu. It's their job, and they're there to help you choose the best thing for you. You can always ask what the most popular dishes are or what the chef's specialty is. In those instances, you're guaranteed to have a great dish. Assuming, of course, that you like all the ingredients, but that is something you can find out before. Let's take another look at how our painting is progressing and how we've moved on to the left portion of the paper. We're going to use the very tip of our brush to fill in any little gaps, evening out the composition and the balance of white space throughout the piece. Notice how whichever direction the pink lines are going, up, down, sideways, curving, or pointed, what stays consistent, or as consistent as possible, is the white space between them. This is one of our grounding forces of the painting, and a place we can always return to keep us on track when shapes start to go all over the place. If we're not sure where the line should go next, we simply look at the line before it, the white space between, and continue. Even when things might feel like they're going off track, there are always things that can pull you back into the right route. And of course, pull your comfort level in and welcome you back to a pace that's more comfortable. And that's you remembering that you have a very strong tree trunk within you, just like our picture here. You can always take a breath, return to your breathing, and return to your physical seat where you are. Consider it a little bit of a recalibration, and you can go again from there once you're resettled in. And remember, this is all happening in your head. No one's going to notice that you're thinking about it. No one really actually notices too much at all because they're all in their own heads too. With that in mind, let's talk about the social pressure that can come along with being in a restaurant. So this is ordering, eating in front of others, paying, and all those funky things. They're all manageable, and we're going to get through them together. As we discussed a little bit briefly before, remember that the server is there to give you your best experience. The team at the restaurant want you to have a great time there. They want you to enjoy your food and provide a special environment for you. That's the whole reason you went out anyway, right? Otherwise, you could just eat at home. When we break it down, the server's role is to find out what you'd like to eat, communicate that to the kitchen, who prepares it for you. The server then brings it back, gives it to you, and allows you the space to enjoy in peace. Sometimes checking in just to make sure everything is okay. And if there's something that isn't okay, maybe you want more water, or maybe you didn't know there was an ingredient and can't eat it, the server is available to help you out with that, so just ask them. It might feel like it, but you're not inconveniencing them. They're there to do their job. They also don't have any preconceived notions of you. For all they know, you could be the most confident extrovert in the whole world, and you're just having a day. So don't worry at all about how they think of you. Especially if it's your first time meeting them, which it probably is. You are totally in control of how you want them to see you in that moment. You can step into that restaurant and say, I'm going to be someone really confident today. Or you can step in and say, I am exhausted, emotionally depleted, and I'm going to be someone quiet today. Whoever you are in the moment, that's totally fine. You are one person in that server's shift that day, and that is one shift out of the whole week. There really is very little pressure, almost none at all actually, about how you interact with them. The only little bit of pressure that's hanging in there is just that you're polite and nice. But I don't think you have any problems doing that. The servers and anyone who works at that restaurant are used to a spectrum of people. They actually expect all kinds of different people to come in there. People who are overly confident, all the way across the spectrum to people who are very shy. Also everything in between and at other angles. It's their role to take orders from all of these people, so it does not matter where you fall in that line. I can fully guarantee that you are not the most shy or anxious person they have or ever will take an order from. I promise. You are not the first person in there, and you are not the last. They are a little moment in one of your days, just as you are a little moment in one of their days. The rest is whatever. Let's now move on to the placing of your actual order. This is a natural step in the process of eating at a restaurant. If it takes you 5 seconds to get your order across, that's great. If it takes 10, that's fine too. And if it takes 30, that's totally fine too. Everyone is expecting you to make an order, and you need to make an order because you're going to eat. And just like the way all people are different, the way you make your order can be as long or as short as you need it to. Well, don't make it a whole spiel that's 5 minutes long that has everyone waiting, but I don't think you were planning on doing that anyway. Let's think about it this way. Everybody's evening or lunch or breakfast or snack, whatever you're having, is filled with hundreds of micro moments. Every time someone looks around, sees something, gets a plate, has a conversation, is its own moment. You ordering and everyone at your table ordering is also its own moment. This experience, for everyone, is pieced together of all the micro moments of the time. Some moments radiate out of others, just like our lines in the tree painting that we're working on. But most of them kind of just exist. So there's really a lot less pressure on every moment you contribute to than you think. Let's also flip the script a little bit. This is your experience at the restaurant. You want to have the best one possible. Make sure you're not worrying too hard about everyone else's micro moments that you forget about yours. They are just as important, and if there's something that would make you feel better, you're allowed to ask for it or try and make it happen. With time and practice, it'll really get easier. Eating in front of others can feel daunting too. Remember that a smaller bite is always better. You can always add more later, but you can't really change having too much stuff in your mouth. Remember to sit up straight and take it all moment by moment. If you have a confident posture, that signals to anyone who's looking at you what they need to know, which is that you're chillin'. How you're feeling inside is really none of their business. But having good posture is a very easy trick and indication that everything is fine. And everything is fine. You might be anxious, but you're not in danger. It might also feel like everyone is watching. I can tell you, though, there is someone in the room who feels exactly the same as you. I promise. But there's a chance that you don't know because they're signaling that they're okay through their good posture, or maybe they're smiling, or both. Both would be awesome. No one is really watching you the way you're watching yourself. They're all in their own tiny world, just like you are. You belong here just as much as everyone else, and you don't have to perform. You just have to be, exist, and enjoy your experience at the restaurant. Hopefully eating something really delicious too. If you do feel like someone is overanalyzing you and judging, it's their own insecurities being projected onto you. 100% of the time, that is the case. Maybe they noticed you're a bit anxious, and it gives them an ego boost that they're not as anxious as you. Maybe something you're doing, like a color you're wearing or an action you're carrying out, reminds them of something unpleasant to them. And instead of sitting with that thought or filtering through it, they kind of flip things around and project it. Whatever it is absolutely capital N, capital O, capital T, not about you. It's about their judgments, and I'm sorry you're experiencing that, but we're just going to move swiftly along like the nice, smooth lines of our painting. All right, now let's talk about paying. This can cause some anxiety too. It can be weird to know exactly when to take your wallet out or to fumble around in your bag for the wallet or the right card. Often this can feel like a high-pressure situation, but remember, there's really no rush. Once you see the server put down your bill, you can take a breath in, take a breath out, and look for your card. It's just like reaching for anything else in your bag or your pocket. You've done it 100 times before, you're going to do it many times again, and this is just one time that you're doing it. You know how. Don't let the pressures of the situation make it feel worse than it is. If you're not sure if you're paying, it's always nice to offer. You can simply say, "Can I get this?" or "How about we split it?" If you know that you're not paying because the other person invited you out and discussed it before, when the bill comes is a great time to look them in the eye and say thank you. Remember, if someone offered to take you out, they probably want to treat you, so let them. It's okay to accept that. And if you know you want to pay, move confidently and put your card or your cash down. If the other person insists, you can either confirm that you've got it under control, they don't need to pay. And if they offer to split and you want to take them up on that, you can say, "Sure, thank you." If you and your party decided on how the payment was going to go before the meal, for example, they were taking you out, or you were taking them out, or you were splitting, it's probably best to just go with that. Sometimes people do a little dance of, "I got it, oh no, I got it." That whole thing is a little bit silly, honestly, and even for someone who's not anxious, it's just a little awkward. I'd say it's always best to be really honest and transparent. If you want to pay, say that, and if they want to pay, let them. If you're not sure which of these options applies to you at the time, that's totally okay. When in doubt, you should offer to pay or offer to split it. Now that we've covered the main reasons for getting anxiety in a restaurant, let's move on to some of my favorite grounding exercises that you can do at any time. The first one is called Rainbow Order. From the safety of your seat, you're going to scan the room for something that's red. It might be a red item of clothing someone's wearing, it could be a tomato on your plate, or it could be some art on the wall. The red can be big or small, but once you've found it, you're going to move on to orange. Once you've found that, yellow, green, blue, and so on. Once you get to the end of the rainbow, you've completed the game, or you can keep going. If you're not sure what order you want to do or you prefer counting, you can just pick one color. Let's say yellow. You then pick a number. Let's say 15. Throughout the duration of your experience in the restaurant, you're going to collect yellow things that you see until you get to number 15. You can play this game with the people at your table if you'd like, but it's also something that you can just play in your head by yourself. You can pause it or pick it up at any time. Here's another idea for if you don't want to talk so much and you just want to listen. You're going to try your best to listen to all the letters of the alphabet in order. So, when you hear a word that starts with A, you collect it and move on to B. Someone at your table might say, "I'll always order the banana split if I can see it on the dessert menu." And just like that, you're already on E. Always, banana, can, dessert. Kind of fun, and that game can last a while. I can't guarantee that you're going to get X, Y, and Z, but you might just. So let's look at this painting. Is it perfect? No? Do we still enjoy it? For sure. When in doubt, remember this image of the tree, rooted enough that it can branch out. You are doing great. You showed up, even with the noise and the nerves. That's really brave. Let's let that sink in for a moment. Brave doesn't have to look loud. I really hope this made you feel better. If there's anywhere else specific that you'd like help managing your anxiety, comment below and I'll try and make a video on it too. Why don't you share this with someone else who you think it could help? This is the first video in my Anxiety In series, and there are going to be more to come, so please don't forget to subscribe. I have lots more videos on staying calm, finding peace, reducing anxiety, and all those good things coming. If you like to paint, I can also teach you how to do that too. Thanks for slowing down with me today, and remember, you got this. I hope that you have an amazing meal.